Okay. Um, we have 0 viewers, so that's okay. Dr. Leffer and I were talking, and I think somebody's going to have to take notes, or maybe Barry, you want to come talk to the recording. This is being recorded.
Okay.
Um,
I've got some microphones that we can plug in there too. Next time.
just set.
Okay.
The students, if they want to talk, can log in. I'm going to go back to what I was doing.
All right. We'll put it on the board there for.
Now, this is RS-232. That's an encoding. It can go by either G connection or by USB. That's actually not a hardware specification, it's an encoding specification. And it is not hard to create because it's created by a hardware chip. So if you just pass ordinary bytes to the hardware chip and it creates RS-232, and there is a decoder at the other end which decodes RS-232 and produces a byte stream. So that part is trivial, and then this goes to the XMTR. Now, we need to get this order signed.
Transmitter? Our transmitter?
Yeah. And one thing we need to get clearly in mind, Derek, that you're busy shopping for the 300 milliwatt transmitter. Don't need that till March.
I promise that's
But that was a waste. That was a diversion. We just need the 1 watt.
I have the other one of choice. I keep emailing my group to help me like look over if I'm missing anything, and nobody's going over my notes to look over. They're actually emailing me back the same questions that you have, and I was like, I think I have an answer. Just look over it, tell me. And nobody's helping me with this research either. They're going over. They like to look at my research and then turn it in, and which is not the same thing as looking over it.
Okay, well, Dr. Lepper wants to address that. I think certainly the people who are on, first off, for this, the telemetry team is not the gaseous compounds team. Who is the telemetry team?
We don't have a telemetry team as far as I can tell.
Oh, yes, we do. We have. Right. There has been a telemetry team
from the very beginning. I know, but I haven't seen them.
Well, I'm asking the question: who is on paper on that team?
I will tell you as soon as I look it up.
Okay. Actually, at least you and Rachel should have that here. We have too much delay to look up on some of these basics.
I can tell you a few off the top of my head.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if Tom's ready before. I have to put it.
Okay.
Are these people I should know?
I think they're supposed to be on the navigation team. Is pretty much been kind of going to the
telemetry
team.
We don't need a navigation team. We need a telemetry
I'm
team.
trying to change them. Actually,
No. We had a telemetry CPU team, and we had a navigation team, and they were separate groups with separate people lists.
Right. But now for this August, we don't need to worry about navigation. We need to worry about transmitter, telemetry.
Exactly. So we need to know who's on the telemetry team, so that they can. If you've just been sending the gaseous compounds group,
I've sent it to everybody. Actually, both teams, I emailed them both to try and get a response from anybody. I asked everyone about a boom. I asked everyone about everything, just to see data range, all that stuff. I asked the whole team just to see if one person gives me a response, and I'm not getting anything from anybody. Actually, you know how Friday we had decided that some people have to work on the programming. Somehow I'm assigned to help with the programming. I can't do everything.
Okay, I mean,
it's ridiculous.
Other people need to be stepping forward. That's something that Dr. Lemper and I became very clear with, that there are too many passengers and not enough doers at this time. And that has to change. And I think partly it may be scheduled. But, I think that Abdul and Hamza have actually done a great deal, but you never see them. You need to work on getting together with them.
I've never seen them, or I do want to hear from email or anything.
Okay, guys, first off, the one thing, everybody has to respond to emails. The worst thing you can do is ignore your teammates. That's very destructive. You should send something out. You or Rachel should send something out about that. Have you figured out who they are?
Too many things. Okay, Abdul is definitely on it. Chris, you're on it. You're on the navigation.
Okay, okay.
We're going to suspend the navigation team. Now you're on the telemetry team.
Well, okay, there were two teams. One was actually called telemetry, the CPU.
They're the same thing.
That is the same.
So let's get rid of all this separate teams. We need 3 teams, all right? We need one team that can get a CPU to create an RS-232 stream and put it in the transmitter.
The reason the navigation team and the CPU team were different is that the navigation team was involved in selecting which spot, which APRS.
Right. And we're going to do spot and APRS, but we don't need that for August. What we need for August.
Any of that for August.
For August, we need a CPU and a transmitter.
The reason I put this up here for, I am not quite finished. Now this can be either serial or USB. I think. I'm not sufficiently familiar with the nomenclature. It may be another labeling for the code that's going USB.
I think it's this.
I think it's the same. RS-232 is the numerical format. So presumably it can be sent. Okay, now, here is my question. I have signed a whole bunch of purchase orders for different Arduino shields. Somebody better be able to tell me which one of these boxes goes with which shield we ordered. So this is actually the Mega. This is the Arduino itself. Correct? Okay. Now, this is actually
A card.
card of some kind. So I'm looking here at the transmitter's the transmitter. That's not part of the set of shields. Which shield of all the shields we've ordered is the SD card writing on?
We have a data line.
It's part of the ADC probably.
Okay, I'm asking.
We can find out.
I'm actually asking for specifics. I've signed about a half a dozen Arduino Shield orders.
We ordered a data line shield for SD.
That's GPS data logger. I think that means it only logs GPS points.
So there's a GPS shield and then there was a data line shield.
And the GPS shield is the one damn thing we don't need, because the GPS receivers broadcast directly to the ground on their own.
Well, the shield was just to have the GPS already soldered onto it and it's already attached with our Arduino.
But that's completely redundant. We do not need that. We have the APRS GPS receiver and we have the spot.
So the spot only works every how many minutes?
We can program it down to 2.5.
Okay.
Well, the GPS also shows us the same one that we use on the iNet and the.
Regardless, we need.
Okay, that's irrelevant. I need to know, what I'm trying to find out is what is the actual name, the model on the purchase order for each of these to make sure we ordered everything. You're not supposed to be writing, you're supposed to be looking up at this point.
Okay. I see nothing on the order forms that I think means
Okay.
SD
You should not be looking at the order forms. You should be looking at, whoever wrote out all the order forms should be giving me this information, and it should be coming from the spec sheets of the cards.
Well, why don't we make a list of everything we ordered, and then we can map it over. So what is the what? So we know we ordered this mega.
Mhm.
Can you give me a part number on the mega? EEV, D as in David, E as in Karen, Echo,
B is Veronica.
Victor, Victor.
11061.
Okay.
Now, guys, by the way, there should be a folder or a loose leaf binder or actually already
So,
scotch tape into that notebook should be
so this is our CPU.
the spec sheets of everything we've ordered. You shouldn't be, I don't know where that spec sheet is.
What else? What else did we order?
Spot 73.
Spot.
No, we're just the Arduino Shield.
Okay.
Okay, next. Weather shield.
Weather shield. What's the model number?
EEV, same as before. 12081.
Does it store any data or not?
I mean, Diego doesn't know, he just.
I know.
All right.
Didn't
What else?
do it all the orders.
What else we got?
RS232Q.
And what's the model number?
EEV 11958.
And what company did we order these from?
Spark.
FU.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I do.
All right. And then what else?
Arduino candy bus.
Have you started we ordered DU line or
CAN bus.
what's a CAN bus?
That's it. Now we're beginning to get into why I am going through this exercise.
Okay. What else we got?
You want the Spark?
Yeah.
RV SCE. Sorry, B is in boy. RV
SE.
261.
What else we got?
USB post shield.
Post.
Yes.
Okay.
No part for us.
All right. What else we got?
APS. I think this should have been APC, but it's been written down as APS. ADC, second thing, voltage, voltage,
Did I actually sign that? Okay. but-
and typically 995.
Oh, that's right, that's why I signed it. The question that is still wide open, and here's an example of what goes wrong. The-
That's where the advantage is 12-bit over.
Why? Why order 12-bit at all?
I never use 12-bit anymore.
I mean,
We
no,
should be-
no, but I mean, I asked Diego when I signed it. Would you get back with the person who asked you to sign it and have them explain to me? I should have gotten that answer within the hour, not the hour within 24 hours.
We record 16 to 24. I mean, you're just throwing away data.
I mean, this is a.
All right, but anyway, we can fix that. If we can get this working, we can get the 20-bit one working. Let's just get something working. Anything else we buy?
That was it regarding.
Is this a copy? Okay.
Each of these is a shield.
RS-232 shield, so we can have RS-230 actually.
This is a shield. Are all of these shields? This doesn't sound like a shield.
No, that's not a shield, the ADC is just.
But just a chip or something.
Mhm.
That's not going to do it. We need an ADC.
Is it a chip or a shield?
to chip. Well, let's look at it.
I've got it.
Okay. Now here's something that I keep saying that doesn't seem to be getting through. I don't read screen. I have cataracts and I use bifocals. If you want me to communicate with me, you give me paper. A. B, we're communicating with each other. The spec sheets, not the advertising fluff, the deep down inside the web page, PDF spec sheets. Please don't do that.
Okay, forget it. Yeah. All right, so why don't we try to do this basic exercise and map? Where does this go on bars?
Okay, now I don't see on this list of orders the GPS shield you were talking about.
It's on the, it should be on there.
It's on there.
It's by attitude.
Oh,
Okay, you
Okay,
haven't
so we
given us
need
the
to-
entire list yet.
yeah.
Is there anything else missing?
There's this piece I have no idea. Sensor stick breakout. Looks like an eight. Not to Google. It's a part number of the company. Amazon.
Okay, here's what's going wrong here. Diego is one of the two project managers. He should know, generally speaking, what each of these things is at this point.
Well, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everyone should know what these things are.
Yeah, okay,
It's-
it should not be a mystery.
All right. Well, let's just try. Okay, where does this fit in that diagram?
So the weather shield is built to attach to the Arduino Mega, Arduino Uno.
Right, where does it fit in this diagram?
What is it? What does it measure?
What does it do?
It's to measure air humidity.
What is it?
Temperature.
Humidity, temperature. Where does that go over there?
Sensors.
Correct. These are sensors mounted on a board.
Okay. And there are transducer amplifiers mounted on the board. Now, presumably, and here's where you need to have the spec sheet printed out in a book, please. And I shouldn't have to be saying this at this point in the process.
Well, all right. So we have some sensors, and I don't know if there's any recording on this at all, any analog to digital on it, or if it's just providing voltages that will go to our analog to digital.
So this, and this is a question mark.
Yes.
How far over here does it go?
Yeah.
But this is the weather shield.
Yeah, and how do we communicate with it? What format are we communicating? Is it USB? Is it
Well, if it's a shield, where's the Arduino? Here it is. The shield sits on top
it just plugs into these
and plugs
headers?
into these headers.
Yeah. And we were talking about a ribbon cable to put the shield outside of the payload.
Now, you were saying solder.
No.
Yes, that's what you said to me.
No, and I was telling you that I was telling you first we were talking about cooling to stop. But then
And then you said we're going to when you came to me last Friday, you said what Dr. Leffer said was hand solder wires.
No, that's not what I said.
All right, doesn't matter now. Okay, so here's a good question. Next,
That's what I heard you to say.
I'm going to go with this. What is this? I have no idea what this is. What's a CAN bus?
What does the CAN bus do?
An Arduino CAN bus also has an RS-232 connection as well. It has a USB connection, OBD2 cable.
That doesn't tell us what it
There's
does.
something else.
Question
There's
mark.
also something. Yeah, the USB card holder also.
Oh, this
That's
might
what
be
it
our
was.
USD. We're going to call this the CAN bus.
See, that one I chose because it has a USB and it also has the RS-232 connection.
All right, so maybe.
So why did we buy a USB host, an RS-232 shield, and the CAN bus?
And that's also from asking, I tried to do, when I presented all this stuff, I tried to present it in front of everyone because
This bus might do all of those. We'll
everyone's
find out.
instruments are going to connect to it. I wanted to make sure that
Everyone's
everyone had the right
instrument-
connection.
The sensors, any analog, is going to go to here, and any serial is going to maybe go to here. We'll find out.
It seems to me, and this is where you guys needed to, you're sitting there saying, well, people weren't answering.
No, well, I
Here's
get,
here's
some
a
of these are as
here's another
connectors,
here's another interesting thing.
so other people can connect to it.
This has a USB right here on the CPU, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could potentially do, I don't know, 32 different, how many different devices can you do on one USB?
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot. So we can direct connect to the CPU, but maybe we need that RS-232 card to do this, or maybe this CAN bus will.
Yeah, okay, at this point, let me explain something. In the design process, you need to actually, if it says, okay, the CAN bus has RS-232 and USB out, then you also buy a USB host and an RS-232 shield.
Oh, we might be returning to this before opening. So don't open it. Let's see what this CAN bus can do.
I mean, this is, I'm trying to, we shouldn't have done that, okay? We should have read the specs of the CAN bus carefully.
We should have drawn this diagram.
I've drawn this diagram like 4 times
All right,
before.
but we should draw it with the actual devices we have. Because we know what the inputs and outputs of this, we think we know, we should know from the spec sheet what the inputs and outputs are. I'm not seeing a power supply in this.
Yeah.
We do need a power supply.
Okay, that was last week's diagram.
Okay.
Okay, they're supposed to be producing a power supply diagram very shortly. I'm doing this because we've ordered a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
And
All right. I'm seeing we're missing an analog to digital shield.
we're missing a multiplexer and what
Yes.
now?
These usually come together, the multiplexer and the analog to digital.
The truth is that I think the Arduino Uno and possibly the Arduino Mega have those built in.
Oh,
Because
that'd be sweet.
the Arduino Uno has 6 analog ins.
All right.
Which-
That'll give us 3 sensors.
Now,
maybe.
this is, no,
Well, it depends if you want to do differential or single line.
no. Yeah, well, that's what you do over here.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's why Chris is laying out the circuit board.
All right. We just need to get something working, right? This week.
Okay,
So-
so the question is, this is the GPS shield that you have,
Yeah.
which is actually, well, maybe it's nice, maybe it's not, it's unnecessary. We do not seem to have, unless it's on the CAN bus, and I've been asking this question for about 3 weeks now.
I doubt it.
Now, the weather shield, does it contain this and this? Does the Mega contain this and this?
Maybe.
You guys have to figure that out from the spec sheets carefully, and people need to start answering Erica. Okay, please, everybody.
What would be nice is to have every member listed and where they fall into these 3 broad.
Have that.
I mean the active members, right? Because we might have holes. What do you guys think are the 3? If we could divide just into 3 teams, what would the 3 teams?
One for just for program. I mean, we need a team that needs to know how to make it GUI, the GUI.
We don't need a GUI.
Okay, well, the program.
We can do it off main line, right?
We need a GUI for display.
All right, well, for now, we need, that's a bonus, right? Because I'm happy looking at numbers.
We
Right.
we need someone to work on the program.
We need to program this, right?
Yeah. And,
So we need a software team, right?
yes, we need software.
Software coding. All right, what other core functionality do we need?
Right now, we need,
Power.
So electrical, power/electrical, this is pretty basic thing. But
That should be very close to being done with.
I want to call it, is hardware too general?
Yeah,
Power.
because there isn't anything else.
Yeah, all right. I want a sensor team. So we're collapsing all the sensors into one.
Actually, that's not gonna work.
All right, but for now,
No, it really isn't gonna work, because the experiments are so different.
Well, the gaseous group can be merged with, I mean, all right,
What's happening?
I still need a telemetry. I still need a telemetry.
What,
Let's think August.
okay, what has been going on, in principle, is that everyone is on the sensor team, and everyone is also on one of these
Yes.
teams, and you're supposed to be dividing your time and achieving
All right,
balance.
well, this is not happening. Well, this is, okay, maybe we need, actually, underneath each of these teams, we need to list the step-by-step tasks.
Let's see, software, power, and telemetry.
Telemetry, this is the big three right now. And this is assuming that everyone else is doing their own sensor.
Yeah, the sensors are actually in pretty good shape, but they really are very, very different. They can't condense.
Well, what we need to do is find out how the sensors match to here, right? Some sensors are going to be coming in through USB, some will be coming in through the MUX, some will be coming in, some will be writing to an SD card.
That was actually my next.
You want a chart on this going away?
We need more than that. We need a chart. So now that I've seen this, we need to figure out if we have one more shield to order or not. You actually need to get out all this. The thing that's going wrong here, why are you guys floundering on this? You're doing all your shopping by screen. You don't have the specs on paper, so you can go quickly from, okay, what does the Mega actually do? Does it have an ABC? Does it have a multiplexer? What does the Weather Shield actually do? Does it have a multiplexer? Does it have an ABC? Those things should be. Now, you guys need to make a management decision. You can look at my old notebook, which I got out from one of my projects. I've got several of them out. That project, by the way, you guys ought to leaf through it. It was done by 3 undergraduates. They started in January and they were ready to fly by August. That's the big payloads that are out in the lab right now. That's the notebook for those payloads. Okay, so we have, I thought we had a hole. I thought we had a hole because no one could tell me, well, what does the CAN bus do when I was signing the orders?
The good news is we can make sure to get something better than a 12. It's actually hard to buy a 12 bit.
Yeah, no one has actually answered, why do we have a 12-bit? Why were we ordering a 12-bit? And why not a 16 or 20? And why aren't we ordering it? So there are 2 holes. I prefer 16, it's a lot easier.
16, let's do 16. 16 should be fine.
Code-wise.
And it'll be more, it's going to be a lot more expensive to go with this one.
Okay, the MUX, presumably the MUX goes with it.
The MUX should be attached to it, yeah.
Um,
But let's just see, the question is how many inputs do we need? Like, how many sensors do we have?
I think Chris is the high end. He's going to have 5.
5. We're going to have at least 4 or 5 inputs.
But they're not all flying together.
All right. But I think we need, I'd like to record ours in differential mode, which means that we 10 inputs on. Instead of going to a common ground, we measure 2 signals. We pick up 2 channels per sensor. Anyway,
Why?
because you get much better data. Well, we can play in the lab with that. We can do differential versus single-ended in the lab and see.
The bitter experience on spacecraft says that's the, because you've got 2 big numbers that you're subtracting to get a small.
No, it's a 0. It's not 2 big numbers.
if the ground is a small number, I'm just not assuming the ground is zero. If the ground could drift, we don't, this is in the air, right? The ground can float.
Yeah,
And sometimes some other signal is interfering with another tank. We can play with this, we can debate this. Let's just see what kind of shields are available and how many inputs they have
okay.
and how many inputs we need.
Usually because of the way they build chips, this is going to be in multiples of 8.
Yeah,
So you either have an 8 input or a 16 input or a 64
32,
input.
yeah, 64. All right, anyway, let's see what's available, how much it costs. The nice thing is we can test these things in the lab before we buy them.
Now, I was supposed to have conducted a programming class today. Because somebody over the weekend was supposed to have applied Hamza's discoveries.
Does this thing work? Can we talk to it?
No, we can't.
Okay.
And they came up with 6 different recipes, but those recipes should have been applied before 2 o'clock today.
I have to leave because we're doing a balloon launch at 3, launching ozone son into this storm.
So yeah,
But I'll be back.
it would have been nice to have actually. The thing I feel good about is that I'm not wasting the class because there is no class. Okay, so
So who are we gonna assign for the coding software? Start them now.
that's not my job.
Okay, well, we need to make sure we get them on that.
They need.
Yes, we do. That's pretty important.
And I was supposed to be giving a class in how to code, and I have been thwarted because you have either broken or can't get loaded. Here's where things are breaking. The process of deciding this is really broken, or that one of Hamza's fixes actually worked, should have been complete by 2. When I left Friday, it was going to take place over the weekend.
Well, that's too, I mean, we need to start firing people there. Like, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but they're not getting the message to be here. Like, somebody has to be the example. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be an example here to get fired, so that way they either come or they don't. But I mean, I don't even know why they chose jobs for the day shift when they know they're supposed to be here. Like, why they applied for a job even though they knew they were on this project the whole summer and decided to take a day job instead of a night job is beyond me. Like, this is getting ridiculous.
There may be a casualty. I mean, you all know who he is. Because there's at least one person. Most people are at least showing up on weekends and answering email on weekends. Almost everybody. They may not be answering your email,
Okay.
but they're answering mine.
Shoot, look at that.
We,
Because they're not coming to
you and
the
Rachel
meeting.
need to get people to work with Erica. Certainly, this business of Erica ordering a whole bunch of extra parts for the simple reason that no one was answering her on which do we actually need is not something that should be happening. Now, we do need to know who's on the telemetry. We're reordering the teams.
Yes, yeah.
Now, this is your job and Rachel's and Daniel's. But this is, in the next 2 days, come up with those lists. Don't wait a whole week or so. Okay, now, the telemetry team's real job. Now, what is this difference between the telemetry team and the software team? There isn't very damn much, when you come right down to it. We definitely need a software team. We need at least 2 people on it, one for the ground station and one for the Arduino. Actually, we need 4. Why do we need 4, you ask? Because we have 2 Raspberry Pis in this picture. The particle detector is using a Raspberry Pi, and I think the TEC is using a Raspberry Pi. So each of the flight computers needs to be coded, and the ground station needs to be coded. And this is quite urgent because we have. I don't know if everybody knows this. In August, we're going to be flying with three other USIP experiments. They're the last ones except us. The rather we're not there at all state that we're in needs to be hidden by that. You know, what was different with those other teams? Well, I think one of the things was that everybody said, well, we have a year, and just stood there. Not to name names, but there were people who I talked to in February and I didn't talk to till the end of May, and nothing had happened. That shouldn't have been. Okay, now, is this recorded? No. Is this written down?
Oh.
Excellent. Okay. Now you asked me, do we need a spreadsheet? The answer is yes, we do. And the other thing, by the way, in terms of getting started with the software and the coding, and this is something I found out about talking to Dr. Leffer this morning, I didn't know about. He apparently has connected to a computer a rather high-end DAD digital, analog digital converter card that he made available to the gaseous compounds group with a list of suggested tasks for learning how to do all this. And apparently no one's done anything. And apparently, the question, I have two questions. One, why did the main status meetings never hear about this?
Right, that's where we're having a problem. The team's not here. I mean, they're not here to get this information. At the same time, I don't have the time to do everything. I need them here to get their assignment.
But I understand that the gaseous compounds team also does have a regular meeting.
Oh, we have a regular meeting, but I'm having problems with getting them to come too now, or having the group together, because right now we don't have the UPI, and I guess people aren't taking it as seriously because the boxes are there, that they're not really coming in to do anything. And then when I do email them or something, it is ridiculous. The stuff, I mean, they put things on us on it they're not even doing, so I don't know.
Okay. If this needs to come from Dr. Leffer or me, you and Rachel need to come. But the fact is, Dr. Leffer came up with an alternative to playing with the UPI. He provided you with that digital, or did he provide that back in January?
He said it was the lapjack thing, backpack thing, I don't know. I mean,
Well, you should know, okay? This is something he's very upset that no one is using. It's a $1,000 D2A card that he wants you to try and experiment with and figure out how to do a lot of this stuff. He's given you a desktop, laptop configuration with which to learn how to do a lot of this stuff.
I understand, but I mean, they're not coming in to do it.
Excuse me,
I'm sorry.
When did he do that?
I've seen probably an email, and I've probably done that, but I'm working.
No. I asked a very specific question. When did he give you that card?
I haven't seen it.
So in other words, he handed it out at a meeting you missed.
Maybe so, 'cause I haven't seen the card. I haven't seen him talk to me about a card. I haven't seen him back to show me where we're working on the card. Nobody's actually been. I'm in the lab every day. I haven't seen anyone with that card.
Okay.
So I don't know.
All right, so here is, Dr. Leffer feels that he has given this and told everybody in the entire gaseous compound group more than once. He's been over what to do with it more than once. He said there's a list on the blackboard of steps to be taken with it, and it's there in the laptop. And so this is something you've not heard about at all?
No, John sits in front of me every day. He hasn't mentioned anything. We've been working with a lapjack, and we're working with Jack Factory. No, this is the first time I've heard about it. And this is why I'm getting frustrated, because they're not coming in. And to rely on them to come in the weekend when nobody's here to tell them what we've learned or what to work on and things like that, it's unreliable.
Actually, only one person is only coming in on the weekend.
Even worse. And then there's no one here to check if they're even coming. So how do I know? They're probably sitting at home and just, taking up all their credit and just sitting there while we're doing everything. And this is where it's getting frustrating.
That isn't getting us anywhere, okay?
No.
What I'm trying to do is find out why the full status meeting hasn't heard anything about this D2A It's A to B, excuse me, he said, it's a high-end A to B card with emulation software and a laptop. And okay, I may be referring to it by, you may actually be talking about it, okay? What he's calling a high-end A to B card, maybe one of those toys you were naming. I'm just not naming it with its brand name.
I don't even know. I don't know if you have, I've never heard of it. I don't even know what it is.
Okay. It's an analog to digital card for taking sensor signals, and he said he actually attached an ozone sensor to it and said, okay guys, now play with this and demonstrate that you can take some data into the laptop. Does this sound familiar?
No.
Dr. Leffer says he's gone over this several times with the gaseous compounds group.
I guess maybe that is the LabJack. He has an instrument where we're connecting, like, he started first, we connected a battery. It's called a LabJack, and then,
Okay,
it was
I'm
connected
just,
to a
I did
computer.
not use the brand name, I used the function description.
Okay, I guess it's the same thing. I'm
Okay,
guessing that's the same, because it connects to.
here is part of our problem. The function description should have connected here. An analog to digital converter. This is a device which measures signals and provides them digitally to the computer. So you need to ask, is the LabJack what Dr. Baring was talking about as the high price analog to digital converter? He didn't give me the brand name. Okay, so this is kind of where the conversation breaks, is that he and I will use the functional description, and you're thinking of it in terms of the brand name, and when we start talking about it, you don't realize we're talking about it.
Right.
Okay, so this toy you're playing with, whatever you call it, I think is what he's talking about.
Yes, I call it LabJack. Yes, the brand, the LabJack.
Okay, that's not a good way to talk about things. Talking about their functionality gets it across to people much more what you're talking about.
Provide analog inputs, outputs, no input, outputs, more. So yeah.
What's the, and it's $1,000 item?
There's a $500 one.
We're working on it today, right now, before we came down.
Okay. He's very frustrated because he doesn't see that most of the team are doing anything with it. I'm even more frustrated because nobody's brought the fact that these tasks were assigned to the status meetings. Which means, Diego, that you and Rachel aren't getting full information out of this gaseous compounds group at all. Because that's what Dr. Leffa thinks you're supposed to be working on. He thinks this is important. This isn't make work. This is learning. And the fact that because the U-Pod isn't here, they're not coming in.
Well,
The U-Pod isn't ever coming back.
I know that. I ordered the sensors for that. I know it's not coming back. But that's where I'm having a problem. And the team is just me and John. And John's trying to say, well, I'm going to take over the UPod. You work on the telemetry thing. So, and when he's, trying to do it like that doesn't help anybody.
Maybe you should bring John in to talk to me and to Dr. Leffer with you, because you guys have to be a team. Team sometimes means working together, not working separately and talking once a week.
He's trying to separate it like that because we're still waiting for Megan or Daniel or somebody else. The other Daniel's out of town. The Daniel Sierra decided to get a job during the day. Then like Megan, we're having trouble getting her in and out. I know she's online, but I don't need her online. I need her here. This is where we're having problems.
Is there somebody online?
Oh, I don't know if she's online right now, but like Abdul's supposed to be on my team. I haven't seen that guy in 6 months. I haven't seen that man in months, and I don't know how he's on the team even still, because I never see him. If y'all say you see him, when? When? I know every Friday meeting he's on the computer. Every week he's not. I'm here from like 12 to 6. I've never seen him. So how is he helping in this group? I emailed him, and he emails me back the same question that I told him with the links and all the data to look at. It's so frustrating, you guys. It's unreal. I'm ready to fire people.
Okay, it may be that you don't understand, and I noticed this, and this is perhaps part of the issue, is you need to digest your links, okay? Just sending someone a link, they're going to come back at you with the questions you've asked.
No, I sent them, hey, these are the two I want, two already choice, done the
No,
data.
no, 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 you
Look,
don't understand what I just said. Don't send them the links.
So what do I have them do?
Send them you can send them the links last, but you send them what you have extracted from the links, and then say,
That's
these
what I
are
mean,
my
Dr.
conclusions, would you verify them?
I can tell them that 100 times, you know what? They send me an email back. Well, what does it do? What is the voltage? Is it, you know what? And it's getting to the point that you just didn't read, because the email had all the information in it. It had links, had all the data. If you don't
Just
read, that's
answer
not
the
my fault.
question. Just come
Yes.
back at them with an answer, say, fine. And then, because
But that's where I'm getting back to, where what we should have been here during the week. So this doesn't happen through email. You should have been here, could have gone over in 5 minutes, and it would have been done. That question could be over.
But part of it is you guys really don't understand how to report to each other, much less to me. One of the reasons I get really upset about the kind of dysfunctional lack of organization and content in your reports to me is that you are baffling each other too.
They're not here. It's all through email.
No, 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 no. But you should be able to get a report through them by email that they can read and understand.
That's Dr. Brian. I'm not trying to write them a report just to go over the steps. They need to be here to do that with me. I can't write a presentation every day.
Okay, but
I also
that,
have homework. I have a test. I have a kid.
okay.
I don't even live
All
here.
right. That is sort of where they're coming from. I think they're not being as clear as you think. That's why they're coming back with questions.
Well, it's not anything clear. It's just if they were here, I would be clear. I can't deal with one weekend. I mean, like really, some of them I've never seen them in the past month. But I'm supposed to have them on my team, and we're supposed to be communicating. But they can't answer an email, and I don't know what to do.
Hmm?
A lot of the group status comes back with
They're not having full attendance at our status meetings
they're not
anyway to
helping
get
a
them
lot of
because
issues that we're trying to address. And even if they are getting addressed, not getting addressed, like
Okay, what I personally think that what you're fundamentally talking about is dysfunction within the gaseous compounds more than anything else.
they're really Abdul on my navigation team. I'm on both teams.
Okay,
And I'm
maybe,
having
all right, but the thing is that Abdul actually produced a navigation team report all by himself within 3 days of establishing the navigation team that answered essentially all the questions.
He didn't send it to me. He didn't send it to the rest of the team.
Yes, he did.
Didn't even speak to the team. Well,
Yes,
I never received it.
It's on the Google, it's on the Google Drive.
What about Abdul now? Like, what is he doing now? I want something from the navigation team that he's done to put onto this project. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen him at any meetings. I don't see him during the week. What is he doing? If not, so I can replace him with somebody else. And I'm
The
just trying to be
navigation team basically made a complete report, its recommendations were accepted, and it's essentially done.
And that was in April. Okay, well, where are they now to help with this? Is the project done for them? Are they going to get all the credit for it?
No,
I
they're
mean,
working on,
I'm doing my sensor, but that is something we should bring up because if you're done with your project, like we already said, help other people. If other people need to ask for help, but we should probably have someone like officially assigned say, hey, if you're done, this guy could desperately use your help. I feel like I'm not making it very far. I'm not making it very fast.
yeah, I actually approached one of our less productive members over the weekend. When I got back, was basically a rational attitude. With the U-Pod gone, I don't have anything to do.
that's where I'm getting pressure because instead of coming in to help with this other stuff that you're talking to us about and all this other that needs to be done, they're not coming in or because Erica's saying, or somebody else is saying, but they don't wanna come in on our Friday meetings, not even Friday, they're not coming in. They wanna stay online, they wanna be lazy, but they're not coming in Saturday, not coming in Sunday, not coming during the week. So either we get fire them and make it a them, or we're gonna have something, we have to do something.
I'm not gonna fire everybody.
No, I wouldn't fire everybody, but,
I certainly am thinking along the lines of, now there's certainly one person who can be fired right away because he isn't even pretending anymore. But Dr. Leffer is planning to meet with at least one member of your team privately, see if we can't resolve some of these issues. You and Rachel need to decide whether or not I should send out an email saying, look, guys, about what Chris just said. I was actually thinking about that in the shower this morning. We need to get across to people that if you don't have much to do, there's a whole lot of stuff to do. Let us know that you're underutilized, and we'll find something for you. Because we need to have the PDR. We need to be working on the PDR documentation because we can't fly in August without having at least have PDR. PDR is supposed to take place in June.
we're supposed to work on that. And the whole team, the whole group.
Each sensor and the different other teams are supposed to make contributions. There is a blank documentation which was circulated in like February. All of you have copies. Okay, now let's talk about where both telemetry and the coding teams, this is a student thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs to be on one of those. The whole idea that thermal management, the box, this physical structure, our whole teams is ridiculous. We can make the box and the physical structure in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Those are the hard ones. So, and actually the other thing we need to do for August really needs to be here. All right.
Check with Daniel on that. Yeah. On PDR, because right now we don't have a box, we don't have information, our copy's still not doing anything.
I don't think we have one person.
But
Actually,
we can have some.
we do have one person on the PDR.
Rachel. And
Then it's not done, so.
But okay, here's the next step toward. Here's the input that number 3 needs. You need to know quantities to be measured. And I guess this would be single or differential. Needs to be specified. Clearly, Dr. Leffer had a very different advisor than me. My advisor said, never make differential measurements via telemetry. Make your differential measurements in your telemetry encoding mechanism. Once again, we're about to take Diego's time. Let's get. So, which quantities are being measured? We need that from every instrument as a list. You were saying produce a spreadsheet. And by the way, that wasn't a pretty good illustration. I did sign the 12-bit ADB, but whoever produced that order hasn't talked to me.
I'm not sure where that order is.
I'm pretty sure that was a fool. When you asked him about it, he was. Or was it Hamza? One of the two of them.
I just sent an email about it. Someone should answer me and be like, I didn't. So, yeah.
It's
Okay.
a
So I'm sitting here not able to actually do anything that resembles class because, well, we didn't get this. People said they would get it fixed over the weekend. They didn't.
Fonzo said he was gonna bring his working one also. Probably nobody came in there the weekend.
Maybe.
Hans I see on the week, I see him, and on the weekend, and not here to see him.
How do you want us to answer the first question exactly? For example, let's say we're going to do telemetry with my spectroscope project.
Woo!
Yeah, but just theoretically, quantities being measured. Would I be like a picture? How do I answer that? What would the quantity be? Let's say the
Okay, the
voltage-
variable names. I want a list of variable names.
Humidity, temperature, pressure.
And if it's,
Okay.
now for yours, since your data come out as an image, you would say spectrum JPEG.
Okay. So you want how the data comes out?
No, I want variable. I literally just want a list
Okay.
of names.
Okay.
You're overthinking the question.
Right. And how do you attach single or differential to that?
That's because Dr. Leffer likes to do differential measurements. The actual sensor voltage versus the ground on that instrument, as opposed to system ground in the CPU.
I'm doing system ground CPU, single-ended.
You're taking your differential measurements and amplifying them analog before they're transmitted.
Before they're
Okay, you're doing it the other way. The other way is use an instrumentation amplifier to measure the actual signal and then make it robust so it isn't sensitive to that.
Right.
The precision required. Okay, now that is not applicable to an image. Your answer would be intensity versus X and Y on it would be spectrum images. And then the precision required is not applicable, is whatever the word depth is in your JPEG format. Because that can be 24-bit or could be 16. You have to look that up in the specs of your camera. So you've got to penetrate the world of camera specs. But you're not going to be shipping down any telemetry.
I meant as an example, people who are having that.
Yeah, who's to bring some immediately needs like.
I mean, the name of what it is you're measuring, temperature, voltage, rate of chicken droppings in Waxahachie.
Right.
Okay, so precision required. Sample rate. Okay, now the product, and this may be different. For each variable. Okay. I guarantee you don't want to sample the temperature at kilohertz. Everybody understand that question? Yes. Right. Telemetry or recorded on board?
Okay, I get that. I'm not sure I get sample rate. How often we take our measurements?
Yes. Yeah. I'm beginning to understand what.
That's what I thought it meant until we said it.
Yes, kilohertz. I mean, the A to D card that we use on those balloon payloads out there sampled at 50 kilohertz. It was a 16-bit A to D too. What? They can go higher than that.
Yeah, I'm
just like. I mean, think about the data speeds at CERN. they record. They don't record every trigger. They only record selected triggers, but they are recording terabits a second. Quantities being measured, precision required, sample rate. Yeah, my ability to, I am quite frustrated because I realize I should have really been teaching coding the last 2 weeks. And the fact that the computer isn't working, and we probably, what really should have happened is that on Saturday, if it was determined that the resets don't work, somebody should have gone over to EPL and bought one of these. So we had one for the class today. Okay. Okay, so now, by the way, if we're actually going to take that weather shield and put it out on the ribbon cable, you need to either buy the connectors or buy the cable. We have tons of ribbon cable.
That's how we
We have raw ribbon cable. What we need are the actual correct connectors. You know, the shields have connectors that fit right onto these. And there are also, I guess, connectors that go onto those. The question really is, I would suspect that there are extender cables available commercially for, because we can't be the only people making it. So what you're looking for are extender cables. They're likely to be called extender cables. Now, so spreadsheet connection. Analog. Wire.
Other, please specify.
Now, you know, the particle detector, they're going to have to write code for the Raspberry Pi that
They have to write code for the particle detector? Are they making it from scratch or something? Or I thought you could buy it.
yes, they're making it.
No.
I mean, okay, there's some basic code that comes with the particle detector that goes in the Raspberry Pi. But they have to make the decisions as to how they're going to bin, average, report the data. Are they going to report it in light curves? Are they going to report it in spectra? They have a whole bunch of decisions to make. I mean, Erica, when I wrote the proposal, I was expecting that we would, by this point in time, be designing our own shield cards. Okay? I mean, I was really expecting a higher level of basic handiness. The students of 40 years ago were in my mind. The guys that went to South Pole with me, heck, a third of my team were undergraduates. When we went to Cycle Station, half the team were undergraduates. The entire team we sent to French Antarctica in 1975 were undergraduates. And they were pretty capable. You'd say, all right, I need a power supply. And they'd say, well, voltage and current. And they'd come back 2 weeks later, boom, with a right flight-ready rocket qualified power supply that had been built from scratch. Those payloads out there, we didn't buy any of that stuff when we bought the CPU and the motherboard. But the payloads before that, we didn't buy the motherboard, we built the motherboard. Like that. How long did it take me, by the way, to get from, well, I need to have one of these boards to that stage? Mm-hmm. 2 weeks. But then I cheated, I practiced. I've done it a lot.
If your fingers were wet, let's say like moist, would it run for?
No, it's covered in varnish.
Oh.
Okay, so now what the telemetry group needs to do, and ultimately they pass this to the software group, but they have to finish setting up all the hardware. The hardware questions, those 2 missing shields that we thought we had, those guys need to fix that aside.
16-bit. 20-bit.
We're not going to do the 20-bit.
Which are the 2 missing fields? The 16-bit ABC?
16-bit ABC, and then a multiplexer. We need to check if the Arduino Uno comes with one, or if we need to buy it.
Well, we need to have a system diagram that makes sense. Okay, it's obvious that this takes 6 analog inputs, which presumably means it has both a multiplexer and an ADC built in. If we need more than 6 analog inputs, we are going to have one of the properties of this, the ADC that's built in this. And guys, by the way, at this point, all 4 of you, and only 3 of you in the room, should say, Dr. Baring, it's a 16-bit ADE. I mean, the properties of these systems should be things that are not things you're having to write down questions about, Erica. They should be here. I mean, because you've read the spec sheets.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, I don't know that much about how to build one. So like, to ask me things that I don't, some of that stuff I really don't know, and that's why I'm getting frustrated. I would like some guidance from my team, maybe somebody to say, oh, we do need that, or this is why, or this is how I need, someone that knows a little more about this stuff than I do, that be there. That just sucks.
No, actually, you're not. I mean,
No, some
Hamza and
people
Abdul
know.
both know quite a bit more.
That's
They
why I
need
put
to
them on
get
the
much more. What would help, I think, if you and Rachel actually talked. Because I think this is going to work better student to student than Dr. Leffer and I getting together.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you guys need to kind of start to talk to the people, particularly in the gaseous compounds group, who basically quit since the UPOD went away. Say, look, there's a whole lot of other stuff that needs to be done. We need you to pony up. We need you to start being much more communicative with your teammates. Particularly poor Erica is getting very frustrated. And
I've emailed them a million times. I even already knew, like, I got so mad over the weekend with Abdul because the way he emailed me. I had all the information on my email, all the facts, all the shit. All I had to do was ask him yes or no. That's all I wanted. I had 2. Yes or no. Which one do you like better? That's all I had to do. All of it fits. Just pick which one do you like better. No, I got an email back of, well, what is this? And what is that? And do you know if it can do this? Oh my God.
okay, do you know what you do then? You know what the response at that moment is?
I put read the fucking link.
No, you call him on the telephone, okay, and you go through his questions, because clearly, maybe he did read it, and maybe he didn't understand, okay? You have to expect that he didn't understand.
Dr. Gardner, it was everything on there. Like, that's
No,
why I'm
excuse me,
no way.
Erica. I read the piece of paper you showed me on Friday.
No, that's not the same one.
Excuse me, no, but it's an example. There were things on there that I couldn't understand. That, you transcribed something incorrectly or something. So there was, and I've been through this with particularly Diego knows. He comes in, he thinks he has all the answers, and I can zap, find a question that whoever has given him the order does not know, hasn't given him the answer to. And I, like a laser, expect that, okay? It is,
I can understand that, but the thing that gets me is because it was in the email, he just didn't read it. That's what just drives me up the wall. But I asked him to read it, that's all I asked him to do. He couldn't even read it. Instead, he just, like, raced through it, and it just threw out all these questions from his mind, when I already know that that is perfect. It's all she had to do, and that's what's getting me, is that I'm asking them to look over these things, and they're not looking over. Like when I told my team to look
Okay.
over my PowerPoint, they brought it to you instead and was like, here, this is what Erica wants to order. That is not what I asked them to do. I asked them to go over it, make sure they're pieced together, make sure I'm missing something. Go over the stuff I don't know about it.
do they realize that?
They're not even here to realize that. That's like the problem. It's so
Okay,
frustrating.
I actually have been on the other side of this. I think they actually think they have read it, and they still have questions. And, okay, let me explain. I have a mission that's currently flying to Mars, the $0.6 billion Maven mission. That was based on a 1,000-page proposal. I was on the review team. We spent all summer. I was paid $50,000 for the work. And we had several weeks of site visit with each team. And I had that reaction a couple of times from the members of the team. You didn't read it. Oh, yes, actually we did. We debated every bloody page, line by line. And we still don't understand what you said. Bear with me here. That happens. It really does. So what I'm trying to do is get you to be a little more positive about your teammates. They may well have read it, and you may not have been as clear as you think.
I understand. Probably.
The-
I'm not even
and the
letting them,
answer-
they're not here.
But the answer is you pick up the telephone. If email isn't working, you go through their questions and you say, well, I answered that, it's on line so-and-so. What is it you don't understand about line so-and-so? And either they realize they haven't read it carefully enough, or you discover what it was they didn't understand. But you have to do it on the phone at that point.
I'm really frustrated.
I understand it's frustrating. They've never done this before either.
Well, neither have I, but I mean, like, they have less to do on a daily basis. I don't know why they're not here. That's why I'm like, what?
I'm totally with you on that. The one thing you and Rachel need to do is set, and this is sort of ironic for you, but the way people need to set up their schedules, they're doing it backwards. They set up their class schedules, then they work, then they fit this in. As a team, you need to pick the days and times you're going to be working in the fall, and expect people, tell people it's a requirement. You fit your classes and you work around this. If you approach it that way, it's actually very doable.
And I've been making a list of what to talk to Rachel about.
I'm not trying to do bitch or anything. It's just
Okay.
like everyone's telling me to make top ones. Everyone's telling me to make their spreadsheet. They're assigning me everything on Asana. Go do the data rates, do the programming, the pick up this. They're all assigning it to me. And I'm like, I can't even ask you guys to look at a transmitter for me. Let alone you're gonna assign me all the data rate, all the programming, all the things.
I mean, the way Asana is set up, go back, go on their list, add tasks to them.
I'm just seeing it as like, wow.
I mean, but if it's any consolation, Dr. Leffer and I are about to come down like the wrath of God on a selected victim to try and get everybody else to function better. And we may come down on two, well, we're going to come down on two selected victims. One of them is so absent, there's no point. Problem is, we have to, it's really a nuclear option. If we have to kick somebody off, they get an F class, because they've already got an incomplete.
That's what I'm trying to get in their heads, that this is your senior project, this is your class project. You know, if you want something out of it, you have to be here, not just.
Okay, so we got this spreadsheet filled in, and then this team takes this information and build. At this point, we have to. Oh, there is one other. Well, for August, we have a telemetry team. I'm looking further ahead, but for August, the telemetry team has to build a data frame. You know, the telemetry isn't just throwing numbers at RS-232 port. You have to do it in a pre-assigned order so that you know what you're decoding. And you start off with a sync word, which is a known pattern. If you do a 32-bit sync word, the likelihood is 1 part in 40 million that you'll have that occurring by accident. And sure, it's 1 part in 40 million squared that will happen twice in a row. That's negligible. So you can maintain sync. The RS-232 format and the RS-232 decoder do bit synchronizing for you. So all you have to know is where you are in the bit stream, in the word stream, if you do word synchronization. So you have to have a code that goes through the word stream and finds where it starts and then parses it out. And then each place, you see you have a table, and you're going to have a frame. You may have subframes. And so this would be sync. And then the high rate quantities get sampled throughout the entire column. Whereas these words here, which don't make sense to use for whole code, you put what are called the housekeeping words, the low rate words. And by the way, one of the experiments that has to put in this spreadsheet, housekeeping, or engineering, or however you want to put it, spacecraft status. I call it housekeeping, and that would be all the voltages. So we need to be in a position, by the way, to order batteries very soon. So the power people need to be closing in. But apparently, not everyone has seen fit to fill in that form. If you don't know how, come and meet with me. Okay, that's the. And by the way, it's still the case that each person should be meeting with Dr. Lepper or myself once a week on the schedule. We don't have that schedule. Okay, now it's Diego's time. So